Bobby here. You ever have a moment that sticks out in your mind as one of your all-time failures with girls? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you about mine and the very important life-changing lesson I learned from it. Hint, it involves talking. So I want to tell you a quick story. See, it was back in the 7th grade. And I really, at that point, just needed to get my first kiss under my belt. You know how it is. Your friends start bragging, and I had to sit there quiet, hoping that no one notices that I'm not saying anything because I have nothing to say. 7th graders could be brutal when they smelled weakness. And I remember I was out at the local firehouse. It was like an open house night where you can go and check out the trucks and free donuts and lemonade and stuff like that. And me and my friend Kevin are there. And Kevin probably got his first kiss when he was like 7 years old. He was just one of those guys, right? And he's telling me about this girl, Jessica Kaiser. And he's saying, you know, she's easy, he's telling me. And we see one of our friends and classmates, Ellis, there, and Kevin calls him over and he's like, you hooked up with her too, right? You hooked up with her? And he goes, yeah, I fingered her in the gymnasium during 3rd period a couple months ago, Ellis says. A few other guys join in the conversation and they fingered her too, right? They all fingered Jessica. I was the only one in the conversation who hadn't. And Kevin decides that it's my turn to do it. He's like, your turn. When we go back to his house, he calls her up on the phone. And then the next day in school, me and Kevin are walking down the hallway. He stops a girl, and I realize, holy shit, it's Jessica, and I nearly shit my pants. He does the quick intro. I sort of nod, awkwardly smile, and the bell's ringing, so we have to get to class. Later that day, Kevin tells me that she thought I was cute and gave me her number, and not many girls used to say that back then, so it felt really good, like finally I had won something. So I started imagining what it's gonna feel like when, you know, things happen, right? That night my phone rings and it's her. And she's like, so Kevin tells me you think I'm hot. And I'm like stunned because I haven't even talked to one on the phone before. And I'm like, and I must have repeated the phrase about 100 times. She kept asking me questions and I would answer them in short 1 or 2 word answers. And I wanted to ask her questions, but I couldn't think of anything to say. Midway through the conversation, I could tell that she was getting bored or just frustrated with me. She kept trying, though. You know, she was like really, I give her credit, she was trying. Asking me, you know, what kind of music I liked. Me, everything, I guess. I don't know everything. Asking me what I do after school. I'd be like, you know, whatever. I hang out with friends. Just completely dropped the ball. The next day I'm walking through the hallway, and I see her and she kind of twirls her hair and, you know, maybe she was hoping for a compliment. I don't know. But I stood there like a retard. Finally, I said, I got to get to class. I'll talk to you later. That night, my phone rings again, but this time it wasn't Jessica. This time it was her friend Tina. And she's like, hi, this is Tina. I'm friends with Jessica. She felt really bad doing this, so she asked me to. She thinks you're boring and she doesn't want to talk to you anymore. I hung up the phone. But here's the strange thing. I wasn't upset because she still thought I was cute. And at that time in my life, that's all that mattered, right? Of course, now I know differently. I know now that if you can't talk, it doesn't matter how cute a girl initially thinks you are, how hot she thinks you are, how cool she thinks you are. The reason I tell this story today is because while I was working on a newsletter recently, I kept thinking about this incident. I kept thinking about how different my life would have been if I knew this stuff back in 7th grade. How many more girls I would have kissed or fingered back then. The thing is, life has been pretty good to me since mastering this area of my life. But unfortunately, until somebody invents a time machine, you can't go back in time. I can't go back to high school and suddenly be one of the cool kids instead of being the shy guy. Luckily, even though you can't go back in time, you can fix the future. You can avoid messing up again. I did. My breaking point came about 10 years after that. And I blew it again this time, another breaking point where I was absolutely perfect for some girl. I talked to her all night and blew it. And I realized the number one mistake I was making, and the one that changed everything, completely changed my conversations. And I put together a report called a Small Talk Tactics Report. And in it, I tell you the exact story, the exact lesson that I learned, and give you the exact tactic that actually changed everything for me. And since this was literally life-changing for me, I want to give it to you free of charge, nothing, just download it below. Now, another thing I learned with her is that no matter how easy a girl is, right? Everybody told me how easy she was. You still got to be able to talk. If you can't talk, you can't close the deal. It won't happen. Unless maybe she's like so drunk she's throwing up on herself, but that doesn't happen often and you really don't want to deal with that anyway. It's much better to just take the time to learn this stuff. If you can relate to any of this, if you've ever been on a date where you just choke in the conversation department, I have the fix for you, and it's my Small Talk Tactics report. Download it for free. Read it right now. It's 27 pages, and I've gotten emails from so many guys saying it totally changed their conversations with girls. So if you haven't read it yet, grab it now. It's free. The only thing I ask of you after you read it is put at least one of the techniques in there into action, and then come back and comment below on how well it worked for you. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel because I just finished recording a new video that will completely change the way you talk to women. So subscribe now. You don't want to miss it.